Hey, this is ADVTRES, and we're going to cover a couple things we did with Alice over the weekend. No, we didn't go off-roading or camping. This weekend was really a weekend for maintenance. For basic do-it-yourself or maintenance, we did an oil change, the spider and yoke joints, and also the upper control arms. And unlike a regular passenger car, we put our overlanders through a little bit more abuse, so we need to get in and do this maintenance about every oil change. So on average, anywhere between 5 and 10,000 miles. The gear you're going to need to do this is pretty minimal. I'm going to kind of show you all of it and then cover what it's used for. And it's handy if around your work area you have a little table to set everything up, kind of keep stuff organized. So if we're talking oil change, then we're going to need about 6.6 quarts of oil. I recommend putting in 6 and then topping up with the 0.6. So I replaced the plastic oil filter cap with a metal one. I'll put the link in the description. You can also use one of the tools that cinches around the oil filter cap so you can pull it off. And then the nice thing about this is it fits together so you don't have to worry about damaging anything. Specifically, if you have the plastic cap, you'll need the oil filter and the oil. Now, the other piece of kit that I have is in case I overfill it, I have a little syringe that I can run down the dipstick tube and just suck out the extra oil. And that's it. That's all you need for the oil change. Now, for the upper control arms, you'll need Superlube. And the PTFE dry lube for the uniballs. For the slip and spider joints, you'll need the grease gun. I've got the quick lube or easy lube fitting on the end of it, which I recommend. And for the spider and yoke, you'll need the Mobile One synthetic grease. Now, to keep my oil changes simple, I have a Fumoto valve, so all I need to do is pop it open and it drains the oil. And then here you can see the metal oil filter cap. This is after the oil change, so basically you pop both off, swap out the oil filter and pop it back on and just check for leaks. Make sure you're good and keep your workspace clean. That way it makes it really easy to see if anything's leaking. So now we're going to look at the upper control arm. And the upper control arm, there's bushings on each side, which you'll need to clean with simple green. Clean the Zerk fittings. There's one Zerk fitting under each arm or each part of the arm. And you'll need to, after you get it all cleaned up, then you'll need to loosen that bolt so that there's some play. And be careful that you don't hit this line, which I think is the ABS line. So once you get the bolt loosened, everything cleaned up, you can go ahead and attach your grease gun to the Zerk fittings under each side and then pump up until you see those bushings start to move. And I'll include a link from Total Chaos on how to do the maintenance here. And all those little red lines you see are William Tell's, just like the yellow line on the bolt, so that I can see if there's anything that needs to be tightened or is moving around. The ball, clean with the simple green and then spray in the PTFE dry lube and you're good to go there. And then the main upper control arm torque setting is 85. And once you're done with that, we can move on to the next. You'll need to swap out your grease gun with the mobile one now. So you should have been using Superlube on the upper control arms. And it'll be a lot easier if you get your car up on ramps to get to the front drive shaft. So under the car now, this is the front of the front drive shaft, and then this is the rear of the drive shaft. The front has 2 Zerks, and the rear of the front drive shaft has 1 Zerk, which is in the spider joint. You can see the red Mobile One lube there. So you'll need to fiddle under there, get the grease gun attached to the 2 Zerks up in the front on that one, and then the 1 Zerk in the back. Now the rear drive shaft is a lot like the front, except you can't move it by hand. So you're going to have to drive your car back and forth until you can see the Zerks. And again, it's kind of the same maneuver. You've got 1 Zerk fitting here, and then 2 up towards the front of the car on the shaft that you'll need to get with the grease gun. And the rear is very much like the front. And really all I did was in the spider joints, I kept pressing the grease gun until I could see the grease come out. And then on the yoke shaft joints, I just put 3 shots of the grease in and called it good. So the last thing I did over the weekend was added some graphics. Now I found some really cool graphics on Etsy. Had what I was kind of looking for and did the wet method to apply it. Now from 5 feet away it looks pretty good, but if you get any closer you can kind of see my amateur mistakes. You need a couple things to have when you start doing this: an X-Acto knife, a box cutter for some more aggressive cutting, some painter's tape, and a little rubber squeegee, which I got at O'Reilly. The whole process took about half a day. You really have to let the wet method dry before you peel it off, but I think the result came out pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with it for the price that it cost me and the time invested. So that's it for this time. Hope to see you down the trail. ADVTRES out.